Hey there, foster friends and family. I'm Charles, and you're listening to the Fosterdaddirective podcast, where we will explore the foster care system and my experience being a foster dad. In this episode, we'll be talking about guardian ad litems for the foster children. Please know that I'm not a trained professional. The views expressed on this podcast are those of the host, and in the future, other hosts or guests, and do not constitute professional advice unless otherwise stated by said guest. Please ensure you seek adequate and legal effective counsel to best protect yourself in this ever-changing system, especially if you're outside of the state of Michigan. So a few updates. I'm going to be adjusting how I record the audio and videos. The videos will be a little less personal. They're not going to have my beautiful face on the camera anymore. I've just found out that it's a little too hard to actually try to get those to record properly, especially with audio and then adjusting the audio and cleaning everything up. It just makes it far harder and a little less quality work that I'd be producing if I keep going with both, and there's not really much that I can do for the videos. So if you have any suggestions on things you'd like to see in the background running, I can actually do something. Otherwise, for the time being, I'm just going to put up a little bit of information about the podcast, the email, stuff like that. You can also go to our socials as well if you want to post anything there. You should also have heard a new audio, like music clip at the beginning. That's something I just kind of put together for the podcast. If you want to create something and can make something far better, just please send it over. I'd love to use it and give you credit for it. It'd make the podcast a lot better to listen to, I'm sure. So the following information was all that I could find on the guardian ad litems. There are definitely, from what I could find, two types. There is a guardian ad litem and a lawyer guardian ad litem, and I'll go over the differences here below. Where I gained this information from was mostly from the lawyer guardian ad litem protocol revised edition on the state Bar of Michigan Children's Law section. So that's where I obtained all this information from, if you want to check sources and look into it yourself if you need any of that information. So a guardian ad litem is a lot like a CASA. That's a court-appointed special advocate. But the difference is that the guardian ad litem actually works for the court. And the CASA actually is appointed in abuse and neglect cases, and they are volunteers and they're not paid as the guardian ad litem is. We'll go over them in a later podcast, actually. And a guardian ad litem may be appointed to investigate the child's circumstances and make recommendation to the court in the child's best interest. The guardian ad litem's duty is actually to the court and not the child, which is a little bit weird in my opinion, that they're working in their best interest, but their duty's to the court, not the child. So I'm guessing that's a lot of making sure protocols being followed and everything like that. The guardian ad litem actually means an individual whom the court appoints to assist in the court determining the child's best interest. A guardian ad litem does not need to be an attorney. From all my research, they are not a volunteer and they are paid for their services, whereas the CASAs and the Foster Care Review Board members are not. They are actually volunteers, which I had somebody bring up on my YouTube page that I forgot how to volunteer for the Foster Care Review Board, so I will be actually doing a short clip here later on explaining that. It'll probably be like a little bonus midweek one because it'll be pretty short. But I believe it was my brother who pointed that out, so I want to thank him for that, Damon. So the difference between the guardian ad litem and the lawyer guardian ad litem is a lawyer guardian ad litem must be appointed for every child in child protective proceedings instituted under the juvenile code. They do share an attorney-client relationship, so the child is given all the same protections from the lawyer guardian ad litem as you would be from getting an attorney for yourself in criminal proceedings, except the difference is the child's not under criminal investigation in this sense. It is more for their protection. Lawyer guardian ad litem's purpose is to determine and advocate for the child's best interest and to inform the court of the child's wishes if they are over 11 years old, I believe. That's what it was for the Foster Care Review Board. I kind of looked to see. I couldn't really find too much information out. There was a whole lot of different things. I know I was always told it was like 13 if your parents are separating, that you could kind of have a choice. So I believe from what I could find and the Foster Care Review Board information, it's about 11 years old and they'll take the child's wishes into account. And all of the the lawyer guardian ad litem's responsibilities and duties are explained in this protocol if you go and check it out. A lawyer guardian ad litem's duty is to the child and not the court. That's how they differentiate between a regular guardian ad litem. A lawyer guardian ad litem also owes the child the duties of competent legal representation that an attorney owes an adult client. So that means that they shouldn't be putting less effort into it, but in a legal sense, they're not supposed to, but unfortunately, I've seen it with a few of our foster kids where their lawyer guardian ad litems were subpar. Essentially, it's got to be like a public defender where they have a whole lot of cases and they're trying to do the best that they can. But we've had some where, for the second child we had that we were going to adopt, we never heard from hers. And then one of our last kids, she was upset because she barely heard from her lawyer guardian ad litem unless it was like the day prior to the court case, sometimes if at all. So the lawyer guardian ad litem's duties, like those of an attorney, include a duty to investigate the facts of the case, appear at the hearings on the child's behalf, and examine witnesses. The child is entitled to that effective counsel, obviously. They should be taking every measure they can to ensure that the child is taken care of and protected as best as possible. And under this protocol, the failure to comply with the statutory and other requirements may result in sanctions. I did actually find the attorney complaint form, so I will go over that one day as well. I don't believe I'll be making one against the boys' lawyer guardian ad litem just because I'm not really sure I have exactly grounds on it being that she made like legal violations, I guess it would be. While I do feel it's discrimination and harassment at this point, I'm not sure what of a standing we'd have to make an actual complaint against them, especially because court for the most part is wrapped up. So the Federal Child Abuse Prevention and Treatment Act requires the legal guardian ad litems to receive training before accepting the court appointment in a child's protective proceedings. So if you end up wanting to be a lawyer guardian ad litem, that would be how you go about it. You'd have to be an attorney already and then go through extra training. From what I could see for the guardian ad litems, to actually, those are someone who is with the certain court, be it state, local, county. So you'd have to go through that process. And from what I found out with them being paid, it's a good possibility that they are an actual employee. I've never actually encountered one of the guardian ad litems. We've always had the legal, the attorneys, and that's one of the biggest differences as to where the LGAL, which is the acronym, differentiates because they have to be an attorney and they focus on the child, as to where the GAL actually focuses on the court and ensuring that the child is being taken care of, but they actually are looking out for the court's best interest. So how does this pertain to independent investigations? A lawyer guardian ad litem must actually determine the facts of the case by conducting an independent investigation, which means they are going to do a lot of their own work as well to make sure that they are gathering information. This could include interviewing the child, social workers, family members, others such as foster parents, and then reviewing relevant reports and other information. This could be like reports when they came into the system, everything like that the court's also going to have. And an independent investigation is necessary to competently represent a child and formulate a conclusion as to the child's best interest. That's why they have to go through and gather all these reports and everything, get any interviews they need done, contact such as the foster care workers and all that good stuff. So, although the DHHS, which is the Department of Health and Human Services, is charged with conducting the investigation, the lawyer guardian ad litem must also conduct their own independent investigation, which could include interviewing persons and reviewing petitions and reports. So, they just go through, and even if it's double the work, they might fall back on those reports they're getting from DHHS and the foster care system, but if they have any questions, they should be doing their own investigations and interviews to gather information that they may not have. The lawyer guardian ad litem may wish to contact the caseworker at regular intervals. This will help them stay informed on events with the case and actually gather any more reports that are coming in if they don't have it, or keep them updated on what the future is looking like for the child so that they can actually make sure that everything is being done properly. And for the lawyer guardian ad litem being that vigilant attorney that's going to protect that child's interest. So how does all this pertain to us foster parents? Like I mentioned, with a lot of our foster kids, we barely talk to the lawyer guardian ad litems, if at all. The child we were going to adopt, hers, we never talked to. There were two others that we talked to barely. The boys' we've seen, twice, had some email conversations with. We've had a lot of what I would say are issues with them. The first time that we met her, she actually reported us to the agency for clutter, a pet smell, and pet food being out of the bowl on the ground. Which, huge issues. The clutter thing I get, but it was also the end of camping season, and we got two boys under the age of 10 that came to us with nothing. So the first 2 months was a lot of gathering stuff. We had a bunch of friends come out like huge, help us out, donate stuff to us. We had to order stuff through Amazon. The baby was going to appointments regularly. So I was constantly finding new toys and stuff to help him catch back up and get him back on track with his like intellectual level and stuff like that. Just getting him back up to like working on the motor skills, reasoning, all that, because he like barely walked when we first got him. So that was a big issue. It also didn't make sense to me that she reported us about this, but the investigation took 45 days, so she was so worried about the children's safety that she didn't bring it up to us at that time, and then instead reported it to the agency, which means her email took about a week to get there. Then it took about over 45 days for the agency to do the investigation. So it was apparently such a big issue that needed to be reported, but she couldn't have the common courtesy to bring it up to us. And also, like the pet smells and the pet food, we have pets. I mean, there's a cat upstairs. We got it for one of our foster kids, and cats, they have litter boxes. They obviously don't smell the best, but we always clean it out. The second major issue was she reported us to the agency for telling the kid that he was moving when we were not authorized to. This she did absolutely zero research and due diligence into, as we have text between Cassie and our foster care worker the day prior, have her like pleading for them not to tell him until we found out from the foster care review board what the plan was going to be. So she was asking them not to tell him about the move, but their lawyer guardian Ad Litem was claiming that we had told him already. So that makes absolutely zero sense. I mean, she did no further investigation into the matter other than just taking the child's family's word on it, because I doubt he remembered the conversation, and I love the kid, but he does not pay attention half the time. There was one point where Cassie and I were talking about taking my dad to the ocean next year for Father's Day, and we went through the whole thing, told him he wasn't going to be going, he was going to stay with family in Michigan if he was still with us at that time. After 10 minutes after the conversation, he starts bawling how he doesn't want to go to South Carolina to see the ocean. So we had to go over it again with him that he wasn't going to be going. So I'm 100% sure it's something that he mentioned, like something in past that she just ran with. Then most recently, we've actually been accused of not taking him to a dental visit. We ended up taking him. There was an issue where he was out of Cassie's sight for about 10 minutes, so the anesthesiologist didn't feel safe giving him the anesthesia, because if he went under and had snuck food or a drink, it could have been an absolutely lethal concoction, as to where he didn't know if he would be able to resuscitate him in time, so he did not feel comfortable. And I didn't push the matter because A, I'd feel horrible if I had pushed it and then something had happened, and B, he also has to go off his best interest in what he's seen before. He's the trained professional, so he partially put him under so he'd have all of his like reflexes and everything, and they did a brunt of the work, the stuff that really needed done. We also were not the ones that held it up for a year. The foster care agency is the one that kept dragging their feet, and we could not get between them and the lawyer guardian Ad Litem to get the paperwork filled out to get this anesthesia done, because the dental clinic actually wanted the mom to be there to give authorization for the anesthesia to be performed, but obviously that wasn't possible. So they needed a court-signed document, and the foster care system and their worker drug his feet and kept not doing it, even though we asked numerous times and told us you didn't think we needed it. So if anything, it's on the agency and not us. We made sure to do everything we could and tried to get him in as quick as possible. So with all this, it's really hard to feel as though she's working in the child's best interest. It almost feels like I said earlier, discrimination and harassment against us for being non-blood foster family. We weren't the ones who, I guess you could say, stole them from their family. We were the ones there that were at 11 p.m. when that call came in to take them in. So it's a little bit disheartening that we have so many issues with this person, because Cassie's voiced so many concerns with them, and they just absolutely seem to not pay any attention at all to anything other than reunification with blood family, even if it may not be in the best interest, because I think there's a lot of circumstances. And then she's putting so much into this, where we've seen with another foster care family that actually, they had the sibling to the girl we were going to adopt. Cassie still has them on Facebook. They actually adopted they were like 7-year-olds, and they had to adopt them because they kept coming back into the system every time they went with blood family. So this couple was retired. They were going to stop fostering. They weren't going to take in young kids like that. ended up adopting these two because blood family could not, handle the obvious trauma that these kids have. So they ended up bouncing back into the system. And so this couple, out of the kindness of their hearts, honestly, they got 3 biologicals and 1 adopted kid already, and then took in 2. Granted, most of their kids are older and in college, but they were the ones who stood up for these kids and made sure that they had some stability in their house and like in their life, and actually got to fall back on something. So we wanted to plan for that and make sure that if that happens with these boys, that at least we were there. And it just feels like we're kind of being ignored under all of that. So thank you so much for listening. This has been my ramblings on the legal guardian ad litem. If you have any questions about any of it or want further information on it, let me know. This was the main information I could find. I kind of wanted to go over it before I go over the complaints for an attorney, which I feel could be helpful for anybody, even outside of the foster care system, in dealing with a legal guardian ad litem. That, I mean, if you have a court case and then find out that you weren't adequately represented and need to file a complaint, at least you would know where to find that too. And I'll go over that form and where to find it. So thank you so much for listening to my ramblings. Please like, subscribe, share. If you have any stories or want to be on the podcast, please email the Fosterdaddirective@gmail.com with any feedback, ideas, or stories. Please know that I do still have the doctor lined up. She's going to be on here shortly, the Dr. Becky Owens. And then I do have a friend I want to have on first. She's actually a therapist. I kind of want to interview her first, get used to interviewing. She has a lot of interaction with like the LGBTQ community, kids. She has a lot of insight. I think it'd be helpful to get her on, kind of pick her brain about therapy and stuff. So I'm hoping to have both of them on and start working towards getting that stuff taken care of in the works. So if you have any questions you'd have for either of them, because I think they'd both be extremely beneficial to the podcast and learning. If you have any therapy related questions, or if you have any questions, if you want to look up Dr. Becky Owens and her Raising Regulated Kids book, I actually purchased it, so I'm going to be reading through it. That way I can come up with some questions and have some information to ask her. So I just want to thank you so much for listening. I appreciate it. If you have any suggestions for topic ideas, anything like that, please give me a shout. Thank you so much for listening.